Welcome back to our daily Bible study. I am Matthew Gage and pastor here at Faith Baptist Church in Decatur, Texas. Today we'll be in Genesis chapter number 34. Genesis chapter number 34. And in this chapter, we've seen Jacob come such a long way. His family still has a long way to go. And there's multiple things that underlie what happens in this chapter. One is that though Jacob has grown in faith, his children, his household, they really haven't. They've still got a lot of the scoundrel Jacob in them. And also the problem of dwelling in a land with these other peoples, these Canaanite tribes and kingdoms that did not worship the true God. And those were the problems. Remember how Isaac was troubled at the thought of Esau marrying these pagan women. Well, here comes a case where we have some intermarriage proposed between the two, and seems like even through that maybe they're scheming to get at the wealth of Jacob when we get into it. So a lot of different things, purity at stake here, a religious purity, a familial purity. So there's a lot of things at stake here, I think, underlying this story that is, it's tragic, it's terrible. What happens in this, really no one comes out looking very good in this chapter. This is one of the darker chapters. In fact, when I read it, it seems like this ought to be in the book of Judges. That's just, the book of Judges is not necessarily known. It's got high points, but it's got some very low points in Israel's history. Chapter 34 almost feels like it was taken out of the low points of the book of Judges. So, chapter 34, verse number 1. And Dinah, the daughter of Leah, which she bare unto Jacob, went out to see the daughters of the land. Remember, Dinah, she's the one daughter that's been named in these offspring of Jacob. She goes out, she's spending time with the pagan daughters there with them. Verse 2. And when Shechem, the son of Hamor the Hivite, prince of the country, and by the way, go back to the previous chapter, verse number 19, and you'll see that's the people. That's where they're dwelling. This is the place he bought the land from to dwell in. So these are the local rulers, the local elite, the local aristocracy. So the prince of the country saw her. He took her and lay with her and defiled her. So he takes her and rapes her. Very terrible situation here. But verse number 3, and his soul clave unto Dinah, the daughter of Jacob, and he loved the damsel and spake kindly unto the damsel. So in spite of him raping her, he's in love with her. He wants to marry her. We're going to see here as we go through this. So, but it's one of those things, he didn't go the right way. The ancient cultures, you didn't just hop in bed with somebody. You would go to the father and you'd arrange these business deals, and there's times in business, and so this whole thing is backwards in what's being proposed. So, and that's the problem, is that from the get-go we have a very, very bad situation that is just going to get compounded. Verse 4, and Shechem spake unto his father Hamor, saying, Get me this damsel to wife. And Jacob heard that he had defiled Dinah his daughter. Now his sons were with his cattle in the field, and Jacob held his peace until they were come. So Jacob doesn't react. He hears the news, and then all his boys come in, and they hear it, and they are hot. They're the ones that really are angry. Like I say, Jacob is a different man now. He's not reacting. He's not scheming. He sees what's happened, and I think trying to find a good way to deal with this situation. His sons, they're more like the old Jacob. They want to deal with it. Verse 6. And Hamor, the father of Shechem, went out unto Jacob to commune with him. And the sons of Jacob came out of the field when they heard it. And the men were grieved, and they were very wroth, because he had wrought folly in Israel in lying with Jacob's daughter, which thing ought not to be done. Like I say, according to the cultures back then, this should not have been done. Completely wrong. And even though Hamor is trying to make the situation right or better, I don't know exactly how you would phrase that here. Jacob's sons have memory. Verse 8. And Hamor communed with them, saying, the soul of my son Shechem longeth for your daughter. I pray you give her him to wife, and make ye marriages with us. Now, the one marriage is enough. Now, look at verse number 9. There's something pulling out here. And make ye marriages with us, and give your daughters unto us, and take our daughters unto you. And ye shall dwell with us, and the land shall be before you. Dwell and trade ye therein, and get you possessions therein. So it wasn't just about, oh, hey, these two people are in love, let's let them get married. No, now you see that there's some strings attached to this, that this is more of an alliance that's being proposed. That, if you marry in with us, with the local aristocracy here, you'll have the run of the place, and you can have your flocks, you can prosper, and we'll intermarry, we'll all prosper. They're wanting to get in good for the business side of Jacob. They want a part of the blessings that God has multiplied unto Jacob. Verse 11. And Shechem said unto her father and unto her brethren, let me find grace in your eyes, and what ye shall say unto me I will give. Ask me never so much dowry, and give, and I will give according as ye shall say unto me, but give me the damsel to wife. So he says, look, ask me whatever you want. All I want is the daughter to wife, and I want this alliance, and I'm willing to pay anything. Like I said, the old Jacob probably would say, boy, what can I get out of this? But verse number 13, Jacob doesn't even have a chance really to deal with this. It says, and the sons of Jacob answered Shechem and Hamor's father deceitfully, and said, because he had defiled Dinah their sister, and they said unto them, we cannot do this thing to give our sister to one that is uncircumcised, for that were a reproach unto us. So he said, look, we can't do this. We have our custom of circumcision, and we can't let her marry somebody who's not circumcised like we are. Now, there may be some truth and custom to that, with the Jewish identity that's in development here, but keep reading, they're going to use this. Verse 15, but in this we will consent unto you, if ye will be as we be, that every male of you be circumcised, then will we give our daughters unto you, and we will take your daughters to us, and we will dwell with you, and we will become one people. But if you will not hearken unto us to be circumcised, then we will take our daughter, and we will be gone. So saying, okay, you want a deal? Fine, but first off, you have to be circumcised, and then we'll all get together, we'll all be one big happy family, but you got to start there. Verse 18. The words pleased Hamor and Shechem, Hamor's son. They said, yeah, we can work with this. I mean, that's a small price to pay for the financial gain and I guess marital bliss or whatever. I hate to say marital bliss because it really doesn't sound like the love was responded from Dinah necessarily in this. It's really just one man wanting to take possession of a wife. Verse 19, and the young man deferred not to do the thing because he had delight in Jacob's daughter, and he was more honorable than all the house of his father. So he's really motivated more by love on his side. Everybody else, it looks like, is more greed. And we'll see that here coming up. Verse 20. Hamor and Shechem, his son, came into the gate of the city. Remember, that's the place where they do business and such. And communed with the men of their city, saying, these men are peaceable with us, talking about Jacob and his company. Therefore let them dwell in the land and trade therein, for the land, behold, it is large enough for them. Let us take their daughters to us for wives, and let us give them our daughters. Only herein will the men consent unto us for to dwell with us, to be one people, if every male among us be circumcised as they are circumcised. So I said, let's let them stay. We'll have business dealings, but the one caveat is we need to be circumcised. Now, verse 23, you'll begin to see their angle. Shall not their cattle and their substance and every beast of theirs be ours? Only let us consent unto them, and they will dwell with us. Saying, if we just get them to stay, we'll get their stuff. We'll intermarry. We'll take possession of those riches. We'll take all the goods. We'll take the power and the possessions of Jacob if we just get them to stay. So that's what they're after. They're not after making a bad situation right, not doing the honorable thing. Although it does look like Shechem may have kind of been trying to do the honorable thing, maybe a little bit. But basically the men of the city know all they have their eyes on is Jacob's bank account. Verse 24, and unto Hamor and unto Shechem his son hearkened all that went out of the gate of the city, and every male was circumcised, all that went out of the gate of his city. Solomon said, okay, well, fine. Yeah, I know you drive a hard bargain. Let's do it. And so they're all circumcised there. Now, if you know anything about the act of circumcision, especially on grown men, it's very, very painful, and something that's one of the reasons why it's performed is on babies in the Jewish rituals, and even other countries and things. Here in America, it's quite common. It's even though it's like I say, the grown men, it's very painful. So you're going to see here, verse 25. And it came to pass on the third day, when they were sore, they had this operation and they're feeling the effects of it, that two of the sons of Jacob, Simeon and Levi, Dinah's brethren, took each man his sword and came upon the city boldly and slew all the males. And they slew Hamor and Shechem his son with the edge of the sword, and took Dinah out of Shechem's house and went out. So here they come, and the other men are in no shape to put up any kind of fight. And basically these two men, I don't know if they're servants with them, it really doesn't say, but led at least by these two, and it may have just been those two. Like I say, nobody else was in any shape to fight. Verse 27, the sons of Jacob came upon the slain and spoiled the city because they had defiled their sister. Now you'll see, they weren't the only ones involved. I think the rest of these bunch of scoundrel boys. Remember, I told you, Jacob's family, just every time I think about them, I think of a soap opera. Or I've said the Jerry Springer show in the past also. They're a messed up bunch, and this is just what we're seeing here is kind of typical for some of their character at this time. So not only do they go and kill everybody, they also go in and take all the goods. They spoil the place. Verse 28, they took their sheep and their oxen and their asses and that which was in the city and that which was in the field, and all their wealth and all their little ones and their wives took they captive, and spoiled even all that was in the house. So like I said, just wiped the place off the face of the earth, basically. I mean, didn't like raze it to the ground or anything, but took everything. Went in, took everything of value back with them. Verse 30. And Jacob said to Simeon and Levi, ye have troubled me to make me stink among the inhabitants of the land, among the Canaanites and the Perizzites, and I being few in number, they shall gather themselves together against me and slay me, and I shall be destroyed, I and my house. Jacob says, boys, what have you done? Do you not realize what you've done? Here we are, yeah, God's blessed us and stuff, but all it would take is a few of these cities, a few of these little kingdoms and tribes to make an alliance and come against us, and now they're going to be scared. They're going to think we're going to do the same thing. He says, you don't realize the danger that you have put us in. In verse 31, they said, should he deal with our sister as with an harlot? And they said, well, Dad, what were we supposed to do? Look what they did to Dinah. Something had to be done. You weren't doing anything, so we took it upon ourselves and we did it. And this puts, like I said, puts Jacob in a very bad spot. And where we're going to get in the next chapter, Jacob leaves. He leaves the area, gets out of town. And, like I said, this situation here, very, very tragic situation. Shouldn't have been done. Should have never started. Dinah shouldn't have been there, I think, with the locals. She shouldn't have been raped. It should have stopped, at the marriage proposal. Shouldn't have had any kind of alliance marriage or anything set up at all. His boys should not have done what they did in setting up the slaughter, deceiving the men, and then spoiling the city, taking all these captives. Just like I say, in this chapter, I think about the only person that might approach being blameless is Jacob. And honestly, though, even so, still, I don't know what his actions and thoughts really were, other than him to say, boys, you shouldn't have done what you did. So a lot of things in this chapter just not good at all, but it's history, it happened. And that's one thing you'll note about the Bible. Sometimes we have a tendency to whitewash history. We try to make things look good. We like to talk about the great achievements by our heroes. At the same time, we'll minimize or ignore their faults or their weaknesses. The scripture paints men as men. They're humans and they have humanity. They are sinners. They falter, they fail. Abraham failed God. He lied about, lied about Sarah, his wife. Isaac failed at times. Moses will fail. David will fail quite famously. Practically every major figure in the scriptures, outside of our Lord Jesus Christ, who was perfect, but every human being in the Bible, practically speaking, will have something that they did that you can say they ought not have done that. Like I said, there's a couple of sort of exceptions that there may not be anything recorded on, but I guarantee you men at best are men at best. And we have it recorded here that, yes, the fathers of the 12 tribes of Israel, they were scoundrels, kind of took after their dad from his younger days, I would say. So anyway, there we go. And that's the end of chapter number 34. I appreciate you watching, and I hope it's been a help and a blessing to you.